Hey, thanks so much for joining. We are going to get started with finances for entrepreneurs. I do have this one kind of saved for real estate agents, but it can swing both ways. So I'm going to share my screen here and we'll get started. Okay, hopefully you can see this. Okay, so real estate, basically finance for real estate agents or finance for entrepreneurs. So my name's Alice Headley. I have been an entrepreneur. I've owned four different businesses. I've been a real estate broker, owned my own brokerage. I've owned a screen printing business. I have investment properties, and I am also a finance and business coach. So, wanted to just give you kind of an update about me and a little bit there so you can kind of have a little bit of a background as to why I teach this. I actually got started in this because I did a lot of mentoring, a lot of teaching when I had just started in the real estate business. The best way to learn was to teach, and so I did a lot of teaching, a lot of mentoring, which is how I learned a lot. So, top one in real estate agent nationwide. Have my master's financials through Dave Ramsey, working to finish my certification for my business license through Grant Cardone. I've had a few businesses. So that's a little bit about me. So, course outcomes, what I'm hoping to relay to you and have you understand through this whole thing is how to understand your profit, how to stabilize your cash flow, especially in markets that are a little wonky. We're kind of doing another dip in a weird market at this point in time, and I have a lot of people that are like, we don't know what to do. There's no cash flow. You know, my job let me go. AI took over. Inflation's huge. So there's a lot of different variables with it, and we want to make sure that when you have your own business, especially that you can watch the cash flow, look at your return on investments, make sure you're getting to plan for your taxes, and have those ebbs and flows in the markets be fine with you, that you're going to be able to survive. Again, plan for your taxes, build wealth, track your metrics. People tracking your metrics and knowing your numbers is huge, 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 huge. Because if you don't track your metrics and you don't know your numbers, how are you going to make any plans for the future? How are you going to save your money? How are you going to look to see, can we expand now or do we just hold off and wait for that expansion? And then I hope to have you leave with some action plans for yourself. So the next 30, 60, 90 days for your goals and see how you hit those. And again, tracking your numbers is huge. I did an opening poll last time on my class, and basically it was if the market changed today, how many months could your household survive? Do you have enough funds in your account to have your household survive 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years? What does that look like for you? And a lot of people couldn't even do 3 months. So again, that's what this is basically about. So again, I did it for real estate agents, but this is geared basically towards any entrepreneur because entrepreneurs as a business owner, you're not technically going to get paid a W-2 unless you have enough in savings that you can pay all of your expenses and then take a W-2 from there. So most of your entrepreneurs are 1099, which means you have to take out your own taxes as you take out draws. So commissions, basically. If you make money, you get a paycheck. So commissions can be irregular. Household bills are not. Those bills are going to keep coming in no matter what, and you have to be able to pay those. A lot of agents know the production numbers better than your profit numbers. Those are huge, you guys. You can say, "Oh, I closed 300,000 in GCIs this month," but GCIs are gross commission income. That doesn't take into account, oh, I have to pay my bills. I have to take out money for my taxes. My credit card is due this week, and I have dues coming up. I have insurance coming up to pay. Once you take those expenses out, what's left is your net profit. That's the number you need to be looking at. Um, with agents, especially, a large check means really like overconfident. You're like, oh, I've got money, I'm good. But what you want to make sure is when you have a large check, go back through those numbers. What are my expenses? What's coming up? What does the market look like? And plan accordingly on how to save those funds. And we'll get into that a little bit more in this. Um, Taxes, marketing, dues, technology, lead source can quietly eat your income. Especially if you have more than one source of that. We have a lot of people as business owners. We have a lot of different places that we have our money. And every once in a while, it's like subscriptions. We say, oh, I forgot about that. How come that $400 came out of here? Where's that 150 going? And we just don't pay attention to it. So that's another thing you really want to pay attention to, expenses, return on investments and expenses. Go over your numbers all the time, all the time. Um, the solution is not always to, I need to sell more. I used to think that, well, if I just sold another house, I'd be fine. And that's not really the case. It was more of like, well, if I could sell the house and manage my money, then I would probably be better off. A lot of times, the person who sells more is not always making more money. And you'll see that in one of the slides here. So revenue versus profit. Oop, get back here. Revenue versus profit. GCI is a headline number, like we had already discussed. Gross commission income. People love that number. Oh, I've sold $300,000 in houses. That's awesome. Or I sold $300,000 in profit on my I don't know, publishing house or whatever it is that you have as a business. You've sold so much of it, but again, you're not taking your expenses out. You want that net profit number, which is what you're taking after your expenses have been taken out. Um, Revenue shows what's coming in, your expenses are showing what's leaking out. Again, you should really technically only spend just a few minutes on your expenses, and you should spend, I would say, 90% of your time on your profits. So 10% of time going over your expenses, 90% of your time going over profits. And the reason I say that is because you should be up to date on all of your numbers every day, that you should know exactly where your expenses are going. Now, the first time around, it'll take a little bit, and you'll go, oh, we have all this outgoing here that I forgot about. Once you get those in line, you should be looking at them every day. The 90% on the profit is where you're going, what's making me money? What can I expand on? What do I need to do? If that's not working right, I need to tweak it here. What's going to make you money? What's going to be profitable? And that's where 90% of your time should be. Let's see. Net profit tells you whether your business model is healthy or not, or if you need to adjust a few things. If you're pouring all this time into it and it's just not making you any money, then you need to tweak a few things. Cash flow tells you whether you can actually sleep at night. I've got money coming in, it's making money while asleep. I don't have to be super stressed out about it. I'm not going to lose any sleep because I'm going, oh my gosh, my lease is due tomorrow and I can't afford it. Or I have to pay payroll tomorrow and that's going to be tight. I got to move money from one account to the next because there's not enough in that account. Been there, done that. It's not fun. It's not fun. And there's so many people who do it all the time. Again, it's knowing your numbers. So cash flow is really the end goal for everybody. We want to hit cash flow. Again, the goal is to grow production without letting your expenses outrun and outperform your profit. So again, here's what we discussed a little bit earlier. A big producer sold $250,000 in GCI, and you have a high profit earner who did 180,000. Look at the expenses. The expenses was 180,000 versus 70,000, and who took home more? Net profit for the big spender or the big producer was 70,000, and the net profit for the high profit person was 110,000. Huge difference, you guys. It's just based off of what you spend it on, taxes, expenses, all of that. So again, make sure you know where your budget is and what you're having go out. So expense leaks that entrepreneurs miss. Unused or duplicated subscriptions to CRMs. Now, if you're an agent, a CRM is basically customer relations management system. It's your clients' names, their phone numbers, their emails, um, typically their spouse's information. It's got birthdays in there. You can put tags or filters on them. Your notes are in there. If your database will allow you to email out of there, text out of there, have a note system. That's really what you want. You want a full working CRM because what happens with that is that, especially for real estate agents or anybody that has to make phone calls to get their business going, your CRM is going to be huge for you. If you can go ahead and have your CRM basically work for you because you've kept in good contact with them and you have amazing notes on everything, um, that CRM, that database system will work for you. towards I'd say the middle of my career and on, I've been, like I said, I've been in real estate for 21 years. Um, 96% of my business came from my sphere, my database system, and referrals because I took really good care of them. So I didn't have to go pay for leads, door knock, do any of that. That is a lot of work. That's a lot of hard work. And I did it. I did my time. I busted my butt. And anybody and everybody's going to have to do that. But if you take care of that database system, and you continue to send things to them, happy birthday, make the phone calls, do a swing by their house and say, hey, just thought of you today. Video text. You guys, video texts are huge. Nobody likes to do them. I don't want to show my face on video text. I love them. I love them. In fact, that's actually a way I would prefer to communicate with somebody other than just a regular text because they can see my face, they can see what I'm like, if it's serious, not serious. They can see all of that in a video text, and I love it. It's way easier for me. But you get a lot across to people. So your database is huge. And you need to be adding to that every day, whether it's notes that you're taking on clients you talk to, whether it's new people you've met, anything, you need to be adding to that database. Lead sources that feel productive but do not close. So again, another expense leak. Let's say you're paying for leads, but you're getting a ton of leads a month, but none of them are vetted. They're not returning phone calls, but you're spending a good chunk of money on them a month to get these leads. And that's not a good return on investment for you. So you need to be cutting that expense and then putting it somewhere else that will be making you money. So for instance, for real estate agents, realtor.com or Zillow. Zillow's crazy. I have agents that I've heard are spending 12 grand a month on Zillow. Is it making any money for you? Is it returning that 12,000 and more a month? If it's not, you probably should be getting rid of it and putting that into something else that will be making you money. Um, Marketing spend with no tracked return on investment. Track your numbers, you guys. Track them, track them, track them. So before all of this virtual and online marketing became huge, Craigslist was really the way to go to get your product out there. And so Craigslist and then Facebook added Marketplace, which was huge. I loved it. But I had to track, okay, I got my clients off of Facebook. I put ads on Craigslist and I got 3 clients on here. So by the time I got done, I could look and say, I have a total of 20 new clients. Half of them, actually 75% of them came from Craigslist and 25 came from Facebook. So where am I going to be putting my ad dollars? They're going to go to Craigslist. It's making me the money. And I can put some in Facebook, but I'm gonna allot a little bit in Facebook and see what that does. It's kind of you're going to play that and kind of see what that looks like. So same goes for today. We have a ton of different platforms. You can boost on us so many of these platforms. Make sure that the boosting that you're doing on the platforms you're using are making you your return on investment because that's a huge expense leak if you're not. And pay attention when you're doing those boosts to see if there's an end date to your boost. I had an agent and rack up over 5 grand in ad money because she forgot to put end date and then didn't check her expenses. So make sure you're doing that. Client gifts, meals, entertainment without a budget. Put budgets on all of these, you guys. Here's the thing too, for real estate, I'm not sure if it is for other entrepreneurs, but for real estate specifically, you're only allowed to spend 25 to $30 on a gift for your client that you can write off. Now, if you put it out there as an advertisement, so like we did Cutco knives and we also did cutting boards with our logo, our name, our phone number, all of it on there. So that was now advertising, which that's 100% write off. So I can do like a Harry and David basket and I can only do 25 to $30 that I could write off. But if I did a small little Harry and David basket or some fruits from Harry David's and a cutting board that has my advertisement on it, that entire thing is a write-off 100%. And it could cost me $150, but it's all a write-off. So, and I would tell you double check with your accountant on that. But as far as I know, because it's advertisement, that's an expense to promote your business. That's 100% write-off. Um, Brokerage fees, splits, dues, insurance, lockboxes, signs, staging, admin costs. All of these things are huge expenses. And over time, they grow and they grow and they grow. So insurance especially, check with your insurance companies all the time every year and say, hey, this is where I'm at right now. Do I need to add, adjust, tweak? Can I lower? What does that look like? make sure you're discussing things with your insurance agent because you may not have to pay for that plan that you've been on. Sometimes businesses change. And like for us, we had had 11 or 12 employees at one point in time, and then we adjusted down to 5 or 6 employees. And what that did for us was great because it took our insurance rate and it dropped it because if you went below 6, then we got like a $50 basically a credit for us. So, but it never would have come to fruition had we not checked with our insurance agent. So make sure you're doing that. Um, Let's see on that one. Dues, splits, lockboxes, signs are something that I think anybody who's in a business needs to kind of look. Sounds terrible for people who are getting out of the business. I got a lot of my lockboxes for people who were getting out of the business. And instead of paying $120 a lockbox, I paid 35. Signpost, same way. Ours are 18 by 24 or 24 by 18 is the size of the sign that you have. So who's getting out of the business that has those metal signs that I can just buy the sign for 20 bucks and go get it recovered at a sign place. So get creative with the things that you buy and where you're looking because you can go ahead and get them for a lot more, a lot less expense wise than if you just bought them brand new. Okay, key metrics every agent or every person, entrepreneur should know. Cost per lead. What do you spend to create a new opportunity for your business? This could be an insurance agent. This could be a dentist. This could be tech. This could be real estate. It could be anything that you have to work hard to bring in your clientele. What is the amount that you're spending per lead to do that? Per appointment, what does it spend to get a one real conversation? Cost per closing, total marketing, divided by closed transactions. That can be a lot of money, you guys, especially in the real estate world where we have homes that we're listing and we're putting out there for sale. There's a lot of boosting. There's a lot of spreading around the social media. We used to put them in books and newspapers. That's how old I am. We really don't technically do that anymore. You can, but it gets seen more by your social media and your groups that you boost and post to. Conversion rate, how many leads turn into signed clients and how many of those signed clients actually close? So the ratio when I first started was you could have 100 phone calls and two of those 100 would turn into potential appointments. And out of that, one would close. So out of 100 people you've called, you have one that's closing. So those numbers have changed, but it's a lot. You're going to be working a lot to get one closing. So you want to make sure the money you're spending on all of the 100 people you're talking to is going to amount to the fact that that one that closes can cover that cost. Um, the other thing I want to kind of toss out here. So for real estate agents, it may be the same for entrepreneurs, but see if I can get this right, for every 50 people that are in your database that are your sphere, your friends, family, people you've worked with in the past, you will get 2 referrals from those. If you don't do any of that on a database and you just are paying for leads to come in, I think it's for every 1,500, this could be off. Every 1,500, you will get 12. It could be totally off on that. I'll double check those numbers. But basically what it is you're going to be working a lot harder with those people that you don't know anything about. And if you get the leads, you're going to have to work a lot harder to get them as clients. The other thing too is don't give up on the phone calls. Don't give up on the reach outs for these people. A lot of people get tired after the third or fourth phone call with nobody. Oh, they're not calling me back. I'm just done. It takes 8 to 12 outreach attempts before somebody actually says, okay, fine, I'll listen. So don't give up on call 7. Try at least one more because it does take a while. And I don't know about you, but if somebody's calling me to sell insurance, I'm like, God, I don't want to listen to you today. I have more things to do with my day than sit here and listen to you. And I don't want to do it. So I'm like, yeah, thanks. No, I got to go. Bye. And then they keep calling and keep calling and keep calling. By the 8th time, I was like, all right, I should probably listen, maybe see what they have to say. Because obviously they think it's good enough that they're not leaving me alone. So for you and your businesses, don't give up on that fifth or sixth call. 8 to 12 calls is when people typically pick up the phone and start to pay attention to you. Net profit margin. How much of every dollar are you actually keeping? Again, after taxes, after your lead splits, after all of that, what does that look like to you? And you need to know these, you guys. You need to know these because if you don't know any of these numbers, you don't know how many people you need to call to get those clients to get a closing. What's your conversion ratio on all of that? Like my conversion ratio when I got a buyer was like 86%. So if I got someone calling me as a buyer, 86% of those people that I called, those were mine. I'm taking them. But you get good at like your scripts and your role playing and things like that, questions to ask. And so I took them, same with my listings. My listings, I had a really high conversion ratio and I got those. Very rarely did I lose a listing. Um, so those are a lot to kind of keep in the back of your mind. And I will tell you guys, this is about like entrepreneur spending. The cheapest form that you can do for outreach is your phone. It's that's it. Pick up your phone, you guys. You pay a monthly bill on these things anyway. Use it. And don't be afraid to get a no. No is not that they don't want to work with you. No is just not right now. They don't know you probably personally. You could meet them in a grocery store and they'd be like, hey, who are you? They have no idea who you are at all. No is just not right now. So keep trying. Savings rate and net worth personal wealth scoreboard. So once you know and you track these numbers, you can now make your goals of what you need to make your household work, and then what you need to go ahead and hit those goals later. Like, I want to build wealth. I want to go ahead and expand my retirement plan. I want to buy apartment complexes. Those goals come when you know your numbers. So make sure you know those numbers really well. Budgeting for commission income. Yeah. If you don't do this, this is going to be really very hard for you. You need to budget for this. And this goes back to those markets where you have amazing markets and then you have ones that take a nosedive. So I'll give you, for instance, in the real estate world online, 2021 was amazing. Every house increased by 42%. We couldn't keep them on the listing. I put a house on for sale, and in 2 hours, I had 21 offers. That was 21. That was amazing. 23 came, interest rates changed, they jumped 5%, and the whole market came to a screeching halt. People were like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not touching this. So if you're not budgeting and if you're not taking into consideration, again, your net profit, your expenses, and where you need to cut things and what's working for you, then this budgeting for commission income on a really awful market, you're going to be able to get through. So, agents or entrepreneurs often live in two emotional states, flush or fear. And if you don't know your numbers, most of the time in an offset market, it's going to be fear. You're like, God, I hope I can make it. I need another closing. And then what that does is in turn, it shows to your client, okay, you're not really here for me. You're here to make the money. And then they get frustrated and they can leave. So make sure that, again, you're just there for your client. You're making that work. And you can go ahead and budget your uh, commission income so that you can make it through these tough markets. Budgeting is not a restriction. In fact, it's a direction for irregular income. But budgeting, even for business or personal, you're in charge. You're the person in charge of where that money goes. Nobody else is telling it where to go. And so if you're leaving money on the table by using Zillow leads and they're not doing anything for you, and you're paying all that money a month, that's on you. So you need to be adjusting your budget to make this work. And same with your personal. A budget is where you're putting the money. And so it's kind of nice if you get it in flush that you know where your money's going, you know when it's going to leave the account, and you know how much you have left over. Believe me, you guys, budget is not, I'm taking your money. Budget is freedom. And it is something that will help you sleep at night, especially entrepreneurs in a changing market. Um, the first job of every commission check is to protect the future vision of you. Yes. You want to make sure that this commission check is here and you know how to spend it. And I'm not say spend it and not like go shopping, but where does it go? How do you budget that first check? Because what you do off of that first check, or now if you're in the business a long time and you've never done this before, how do you budget that check in general so that it continues in the future? Separate your business and personal money, please, you guys. Please. In a business world, you are not supposed to put your money together. That's called commingling funds. And if you do that, you're never going to see what you have personal wise and business wise, what your expenses are over here versus what your expenses are over here. And it becomes this huge, moshy mess. So separate them out, get an LLC for your business, and put it in a separate account. We'll go over LLCs in a little bit. Um, but don't ever commingle that. Don't ever put them together, because what happens, and I know when you're first getting started, you probably will need to, but as you start amping up and making more money, open a separate account. It will be a lot easier for you to keep your business expenses here versus your personal expenses here. And your accountant and your bookkeeper will love you for that. Build a plan before the check arrives so emotion doesn't spend it first. Yes, that's called budgeting. Go over and see what you need to spend first. I need to pay my insurance. I need to pay this. I need to pay this. Then this is the extra money that is sitting in my account, and I can take a paycheck from it if I need to. Um, Allocations, here you go. So I would kind of tweak some of this. Taxes I would probably go up. I would probably take 35% out with taxes. And I don't like to get into politics too much, but this is where your politics will be of value to you. And you need to look at politics as far as what people have in their plans for nationwide, statewide, countywide, your area especially. So when interest rates went up, people stopped buying. So and then we had a weird inflation type of a thing with taxes. So I took out more. Instead of 25%, I think up to 35%. And if I had it more, that's great. Then I had a left over. So again, make sure you understand what those politics are in your area. And I'm not saying get into it and be nasty and, have weird conversations about it, but be smart about it because everybody who is in office has a specific plan to the way they see things. And when that person is exchanged out for the new person taking over, those plans may change. Or we might get in a crisis situation and plans may change again. And that can inadvertently affect your business. So make sure you know what's happening in your area, statewide, nationwide, and specifically sometimes county and city, because you want to make sure that you're taking out enough taxes so that you're not getting to taxes the following year going, whoa, I owe how much? And there's not enough in that account to come around and help. And then business operations, emergency funds, and wealth building. Emergency funds, you guys are huge. I don't know if any of you have kids that are accident prone. I do. He's older now, a lot older. And I would love to say he gets that from his dad, but that's not true. And we were in the hospital so much when he was little because we had, I think, six split open chins and three broken bones by the time he was 9. So we should technically own the hospital wing. But we always made sure that there was an emergency fund there. And when we first had our kids, there was not an emergency fund. I remember my uncle saying, pay yourself first. And I was like, what does that even mean? And then when I finally figured it out, I was glad that I did because my son was in the hospital a lot, I felt like. And on the weekends, it was like, oh, well, we need $100 to go ahead and see him in the ER. And I was like, okay. And so just having that emergency expense fund was really nice to have. So make sure that you take $50 out of every check. That could be a bill that you take and that comes off of the net profit, but it's going to be there if you need something. Wealth building. You want to save money for wealth building, to buy real estate, to put in stocks, to purchase things for a business that will help build the wealth of that business. Because some businesses you can sell later, and that will be a wealth building tool for you. Let's see, separate accounts that create clarity operating. So normal business expenses and bills. These are all things that you're going to be looking at. And if you keep separate accounts on these will help out a lot. Taxes. So what this means is you have a business checking and savings account. Sometimes it's okay to open an additional account over here that says this is savings and I don't touch it at all, ever. And you transfer funds from this over here, which will pay for your expenses, pay for your taxes, pay for your dues, pay for anything that you're going to need, insurance, and it sits here. And that's where your auto deduct comes in. Like you just put it on auto pay and it comes out of this account over here and you just transfer funds. That way, you're not spending it out of the business account and then going, oh man, what did I do with that? I wish I had that. Because now it's sitting in this account ready to go and you don't have to worry about it or stress out about it. So again, operating, taxes, profit, personal income, and emergency and wealth. You can open separate accounts for all of them. What I used to do was I would have an account for all my expenses. I would auto pay out of that one. Then my regular checking was for my payroll, and then my savings account was for my net profit. That was after everything was due paid, and then that one would just kind of wait there. You can also, with your business, take that net profit and go ahead and maybe open like a money market account, something that's going to make money for you, make that profitable for you. Some of them will do like 4 or 5% interest rate. and that's what's your money's going to work for you. Remember that whole thing, work smarter, not harder. That's part of it. So I would tell you talk to a bookkeeper, talk to an accountant, talk to your bank, and see what accounts they recommend on that. But your money sitting in a bank is going to get you 0.01% return, I think. But if you take that money, put it into a money market account, CD, stock, if it gets to the point where that amount of money in that account is so large, you can put a down payment on an apartment complex. Great. Now your business owns an apartment complex. Perfect. So that's your wealth building. Tax planning basics. Okay, so again, where did I go? We're gonna go back. It says real estate agents, but entrepreneurs, essentially. You're basically self-employed. Once you get big enough and there's money coming in consistently, then you become a W-2 employee because you have an LLC where you can do that. And that works better for people who have a larger business to take a W-2 typically. Um, so what a 1099 is, you are an independent contractor. Basically, you're a vendor at this point in time. Your company is not holding taxes out for you. That is your responsibility. And quarterly payments, people will start, like if you're making a certain amount, the state will come back and the feds will be like, hey, do you want to pay quarterly taxes so that at tax time, it's not going to be as much, or you may get money back. Not a bad idea if you're finding that your net profit is higher than what you had planned. Um, Separate tax reserve account protects you from accidentally spending money. Again, we talked about a separate bank account for putting all those expenses in there. You could have a separate account specifically for taxes. CPA should be part of your business team, not a once a year emergency call. This is so true, you guys. You will love your CPA, and that's your certified accountant. You will love them. Part of it is they know all the laws that are coming down the pike, federally, state, your area, and they know what you can and can't do with the money. Um, so for instance, my car I bought through my business and I could write off my car because of the weight. And it was used. Now, the previous year, again, this is where we get back into politics. The previous year, the president at that point in time said no used cars. They had to be only new cars that you could write off. So I wasn't able to write anything off that year, and that was the year I bought it. Then the following year, new president came in and he goes, we're going to do new and used cars. And if you have a weight up to 6,000, you could write the whole thing off at one time. If it's less than that, you have to do it over 2 years. So I was able to write my entire thing off in that year. But if you're not paying attention to politics, your CPA is, and that is the person you need to contact on everything, especially if you're doing investment properties, where you're taking the money from, 401ks. Hey, by the way, I have this much in my account for my business. Do I need to spend money? What does that look like? How much do I need to hold back for taxes? All of those things you have to have an accountant for that. In business planning, I will be holding another business planning clinic, but probably September, October. But business planning with your accountant is huge, you guys, huge. Give them your profit and loss, which you should have a bookkeeper do. If not, you can link your QuickBooks or whatever you use up to your bank account and your credit cards, and it will put in your chart of accounts so you can get a report for your accountant. And then you and your accountant can go over that. But that's a big one, you guys, and they should not be a once a year. You should be meeting with them quarterly. If you're doing really good business, you should be meeting with them quarterly. Common write-offs. Um, Marketing, advertising, websites, photography, signs, dues, taxes, mileage, vehicle expenses, business travel. If you have a home office, your phone, your internet, your database, technology, education, coaching, designations, your dues, professional fees, client appreciation, business meals, all of these are write-offs. There are some exceptions. So we're going to get back into the mileage and vehicle expenses. So you can do either or. You can write off the mileage on your car, or your business can own your car and they pay for everything. They pay for the payments, the insurance, the expenses, the gas, the tires, the oil changes. That's if your business owns the car. If your business does not, then you can write off the mileage. Again, double check with your accountant on that, but it's either or, it's not both. And then education and coaching. So, education, you can go ahead and say, hey, I had continuing education. That's all a write-off. Well, continuing education, again, check with your accountant on this, but continuing education, you're only allowed to write off $3,000 of it. But If you are looking to write off, oh, what's it called? Not advertising. It's like basically growing. And I'll come up with the word a little bit later. But yeah, if you say continuing education, oh, advisory is the word. So if you are putting it down and it's in continuing education, you can only write off 3,000. Now, if you spend 20 grand that year on continuing education, you can only write off 3,000 of it. But if you spend 20,000 on continuing education and you label it advisory, there's a good chance you could write off all of it. So again, check with your accountant on that. They would know if things have changed or not. But as of this last year, that's how that is set. And again, client appreciation, only about $25 for the gift. But if you do it as an advertising, it's 100%. You can do client appreciation like I think we've had client appreciation barbecues, client appreciation. Someone rented like a section at a baseball game for client appreciation night. Now you can write all of that off from my understanding. Again, your accountant will be the person to tell you yes or no to that. LLCs versus S corps. Keep it simple. So an LLC is going to help with organization and liability structure depending on your situation. So you have different sets of LLC. You have a sole proprietor. So your LLC is the vehicle of the vehicle you're using. So you have like incorporated, LLC, incorporated. And so you have those three. And then underneath each one, you have the section which is going to be best suited for you and your business. So I have an S corp, so like an LLC, and then there's a sole entrepreneur, which you don't have a staff, you don't have anybody, it's just you. And then I have an S corp, which meant that I had an assistant or I have an assistant and I have some employees, or I'm the employee. And then you have a partnership. So each one of those sections is different for what your needs are and how you either have to take a payroll, don't have to take a payroll, and how much taxes you have to take out, hold, or if you get a tax break. So again, when you're looking to do an LLC, an incorporated, a corporation, these are, again, what you want to sit down and discuss with your accountant. And I say talk to your accountant a lot because you never know. In 2020, I did good with real estate. I do good really regardless on that one. For 19 and 20 with COVID, I was not expecting to do that good with all the rules that changed. But in 21, man, that took off. I closed 110 houses in 21. Now 23 was a whole different story. My business partner and I together closed 23 of them. So your business can change. Luckily, we'd had enough that I stashed away in the savings that we were fine. But again, the taxes on that part of it, what does that look like? And do I need to stay a sole entrepreneur? Do I need to switch into a partnership? Do I need to switch into an LLC or an S corp? So those are things you need to run by your accountant. Um, the other thing that I understand, what we were told by our accountant a few years ago was, let's say I'm in a sole entrepreneur, I'm a sole entrepreneur, and I want to go ahead or a sole proprietorship, and I want to go ahead and change to an S corp. The only time that I can do that really is from January to the end of March, the very beginning of the next year, the following year. So you can't do it in April. So you kind of need to make that change in the first quarter of the year. So again, talk to your accountant on that. That could have changed in the last 6 months, but these are questions you want to talk to an accountant about. Um, and then that depends on what you can write off if you get a tax break. So I get more of a tax break with an S corp than I do with a sole entrepreneurship or a sole proprietor. But sole proprietor, I don't necessarily have to take a payroll. S corp, I do, and I should be paying quarterlies. So there are a lot of things in there with each step that you're going to want to understand before you make that step forward. Another really good book for you on this is LLCs for Dummies. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes and Nobles. Books, I think it's Borders Books or Books for Borders, Powell's, they all have it. So, but definitely a phenomenal book to go through and read and have the basic understanding of an LLC, whether you want it management managed, member managed, what that even means. So I would highly recommend you get that book. It is phenomenal. And this one here. So the wrong structure too early can add costs and confusion. So when we went back to talking about what your expenses are, this could be one. If you decided, oh, I'm going to go S corp right now, and you're making 10,000 a year, 20,000 a year, you don't have enough in there to cover your payroll. So at that point in time, an S corp is going to cost you more money than it is if you would have waited 2 years and now you're making 90 grand, 150 grand a year. Now you're looking like, okay, I should probably do an S corp. Um, Yes, so right structure at the right time can support growth and tax planning. Absolutely 100%. But again, you need to sit with your accountant. You need to lay out your goals and you need to let that accountant know exactly where you're at with your finances so you can make the right decision so you're not going to screw yourself later. All right, financial stability. Um, it's created before your market shifts and not during a panic. So you want to make sure that you have things budgeted out ahead of time so that when the market shifts, you're not going, ah, crap, I should have done that 6 months ago. And now you're not sitting in this hole going, I don't know what I'm going to do. And you're just sweating because you're thinking, God, I hope I can hold it together until the market changes again. Business reserves protect lead flows and tools, operating expenses. Personal reserves protect your household and decision making. Cash buys time. You guys, having extra cash just hanging out where it's not going anywhere. It's just there, again, emergencies for ebbs and flows. Best agents or best entrepreneurs can stay calm because they're prepared ahead of time. They're not getting prepared in the middle of the disaster. Emergency funds. Like I said, we used our emergency fund all the time for our youngest. Beginner agents or beginner entrepreneurs. Start with 1 month bare bones expenses. And you guys, again, your phone is your cheapest way to make contacts, make things happen. You don't need all these magic bells and whistles on things. As you grow and you get money coming in, is when you can say, okay, now I think I can go ahead and be done with this and I can add more things because the money's there, it's coming in and it's consistent. Don't do this if you just made, oh, I've made this the first 2 months. That's great. It's going to stick around. It may not. You want 6 months at least for something coming in consistently before you can say, okay, this is going to be here for a while. Then you adjust. Um, a growing entrepreneur, at least 3 months of personal and business reserves. An established entrepreneur, you want 6 months or more, especially with you have family obligations. I don't know if you don't have kids, people don't understand. Kids are expensive. They're very expensive, and they're expensive the older they get. Mine are now in college, and that's expensive. And oh, my car broke down, or oh, I need gas, or oh, I need that, or and I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously, I just was crying when they were like, look at this toy, and I need new shoes. I'll take that any day. Um, Team leaders and brokers, basically a business owner, you should have enough in an account for your expenses as far as taxes, payroll, insurance, and then your insurance for the building, liability, all of that. You need to have all of that covered. Reserves, they're not lazy money. They're money that's basically a financial shock absorber so that you're not going to get dinged later. And anybody who lived through the recession, anybody who went through 2023 as an entrepreneur, any of it, there was a huge ebb and flow almost overnight in the recession. And there were a lot of businesses that went under because they didn't have enough set aside for those financial shock absorbers. So we're going to kind of cruise through some of this here pretty quick because we've already taught a lot of these in this slideshow. But COVID taught agents how fast business norms can change. That was overnight, you guys. That was nuts. And that's not necessarily just with real estate. That was anybody shutting down your businesses, not being able to open your doors, having to learn how to go online. Technology became huge at that point in time. So if you were not willing to learn how to do technology, you were out of business. And that legitly, you guys, was overnight. So again, how can you stay afloat during a market like that or a pandemic or something, crazy like that? Rate changes affect affordability, buyer confidence, and transaction volume. Found that out when the interest rates went up from 3% to 8. Huge, huge change. Inventory swings change with the marketing strategy and negotiation power. So 2021, if you asked for $10,000 under an asking price on a house and you wanted closing costs, yeah, you didn't get an offer. You didn't get the house. We had 21 offers, and most of those offers were $50,000, $60,000 over asking price, which at that time was awesome. But 6 years down the road from there, when you need to sell your house and you can't because you paid for so much over, there's another thing that we're going to hit in the market coming down the road. So all of these things can help make or break things. Um, Entrepreneurs with reserves can adapt. You can make those changes to budgets and adapt and know what your return on investments are and make those tweaks depending on what the market is. And you do it often sometimes without your reserves that react. So, stable financial system gives you the courage to keep serving your clients, which is huge, you guys. If, like I said, if you're panicked and you just need that next paycheck, your clients pick up on that. and then they tend to go elsewhere. So make sure you have that in place for yourself. Income versus wealth. Income pays your bills, wealth gives you the freedom. So the income coming in, you know you've got to pay the bills, things can happen that way, but the wealth is your money going to work for you that just keeps providing you a paycheck over paycheck over paycheck. And you really don't have to do anything for it, more passive income. So if I buy apartment complexes, people are paying me and they're paying my mortgage. I don't have to on that, but then I'm also getting additional cash coming in, additional cash flow. That is wealth. That is what you want to do. High income without saving can still become a paycheck to paycheck living. This is very true. People get a good sized paycheck and they go, oh my God, let's go shopping. And they don't budget, they don't look to see what it is, and they don't have the patience. I think this is a key word, patience. We're so big on having something right now that we don't look to see where we can take that money that we've earned and save it so that we can buy that apartment complex later, so that it can go ahead and give us passive income later. We just go shopping and buy the boats and the cars and blah, 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 and then the money's gone. And then when we get into a weird market, we're like, crap, I don't have anything to offset that. So definitely things you want to make sure of. Um, Assets are things that can grow, produce income, or increase your options. Again, we just discussed that. Agents, um, investment properties every day may not plan for themselves. You need to. Any entrepreneur needs to. And you can utilize this through your business as well. The goal is to turn your commission asset into assets over time. So we're getting commissions. Remember, we're taking some over here. We're putting 5% away for wealth because we want to go ahead and create that wealth for us, that passive income over time. And I will tell you, you can do single family residences if you're looking to do investment properties, starting off with a single family residence. But I would highly encourage you, maybe start there and then roll that down into like a duplex or a triplex. And here's why. Single family residences are great, have a few in the mix, but if that person stops paying your rent, who's paying the rent? You are. So if you have a duplex or a triplex and one person stops paying the rent, you still have money coming in to help pay that mortgage payment. It's not strictly just out of your pocket. Okay, investment property pathways, single family rentals, house hacking, using your own living situation to reduce expenses and build equity. So basically, if you're living a duplex, you've got one side you live in, somebody else is in the other, but they pay your mortgage. Multifamily units can spread risk across multiple rents. I don't think that's right. So basically, if somebody doesn't pay your rent, you can spread the risk across everybody. So if somebody that risk doesn't pay, then the rest of the people will pay. And then you have very little out of your pocket to pay for that unit. Short-term rentals, higher upside, but more active management. You have regulation risks. Certain cities don't want short-term rentals. And so you have to, before you buy a house to do that with, you need to check with the local authorities, if you will. So like city of Medford, city of wherever you're at, to see if they'll even allow it. Some cities will not allow it, and some communities will not. So if you live in a community or you buy in a community that has what we call CCNRs or conditions and restrictions, some of those will refuse to allow short-term rentals. So you want to make sure you're asking your agent if you're buying rentals if that's an issue in that area. And I would actually get a hold of a copy and read through it yourself because some people miss things. Best investment is one that you can understand, finance, mortgage, and hold. Sometimes you can do a fix and flip and take that money and utilize it as a down payment for something you're going to hold. Not a bad idea. Understand you will be getting taxed on that fix and flip. So you again, talk to your accountant on that. Retirement planning for entrepreneurs, agents, entrepreneurs. Here's a few different retirement plans. A SEP IRA is for a self-employed person. Basically, it's set up for you. You can also you can put money in there. It's pre-tax, so you're going to put money in there. You can. This one typically has a higher amount that you can put in a year than most of the other retirement plans. Solo 401k, you can allow again for a higher contribution potential for some business owners. Roth IRA is after taxes. So you can start a Roth IRA account. We did this for our kids. We started a Roth IRA account for like, I think it was $200 a person. And that's basically got taxed on the $200. But if you max out which this year I think is 7,500. When you max that out, you can then go ahead and let that sit for compound interest if they never touch it again. And that will compound over the next, I don't know how, they're like 40 years until they retire. But if they continue to add to it when they retire, that's tax-free income, you guys. You're not going to get taxed on that Roth IRA again. And then you have your regular traditional IRA, which is again pre-tax, and you're going to go ahead and get taxed when you go to retire. I personally will do a Roth IRA. If I'm going to do an IRA, it'd be a Roth IRA because I'm taxed now. I don't know what that tax percentage rate will be when my kids go to retire. It could be 5%, it could be 25%. And so if I do a traditional IRA for them, I have no idea what they're going to lose when they pull that out when they're retiring. So Roth IRA right now, and you can just continue to add to it. They can get graduation money, Christmas money, birthday money, whatever. Grandma just decided to show up and give you $100. That's awesome. Put it in that account and let it just sit there and compound interest for you. Let's see. Brokerage plans. Oops, sorry. Come on, Alice. Okay, so brokerage plans and spouse workplace plans can also be part of the picture. So if you're an entrepreneur, you can hire your family members. I want to say it's up to like 13,000, a little over 13,000 that you can pay your family members tax free. They still have to pay like some of the state taxes. Um, but I don't think they have to pay. So they have to pay Social Security and Medicare and maybe one or two of the state taxes. But the rest of it they get to keep for they don't have to pay taxes on it. So they can take all of that and then maybe take half of it and roll it into a Roth IRA. But there's options again like that. So again, your accountant will know this and you want to have that conversation with them. So for me, if I want to decide to hire one of my sons to do work with me, I can pay him up to a certain amount a year, and basically almost all of it is tax free. So that's really kind of nice for him. And then he can take a part of that, roll it into his Roth IRA, let it sit there. And if we do this every year, that certain amount is tax free. And then he takes a chunk of it and puts into IRA, and it's all tax free money. I mean, from the start, from when I give it to him to when he puts it in his account to when he goes ahead and pulls it out. It is all tax free for him. So definitely something that you want to think about and talk to your accountant about. Let's see. Yes, so retirement planning is easier when you built it into the commission allocation system or basically put it into your budget. Any entrepreneur needs to have this built into a budget so that you know, as my uncle said, pay yourself first. And I remember thinking, I don't even know what that means. And you make yourself a bill. Like you're going to pay your power bill or your water bill or something else. Make you as the person a bill and you pay yourself out of every closing, every transaction you have, you pay yourself first. And then out of that, you're budgeting how much of that is going to go to retirement. Or you can make your retirement a bill. Pay yourself first, and then add retirement as a bill. And then that chunk is going to go to your retirement. And you get used to it over time because it's a bill and you just start to allocate how that rolls. So budget, budget, budget for all of that, you guys. I always tell people too for budgeting for the houses, first-time homebuyers especially. Sometimes I have people that will buy older homes, and I say, great, understand your HVAC unit is probably 16 years old. Let's start budgeting out of every one of your paychecks how much you're going to go ahead and hold back so that should that decide to die in the next 7 to 8 years, you have the money to pay for it outright and you're not stressed and you're going, oh my gosh, I got to find financing for it. I got to put it on a credit card. And now that pressure is just sitting on your shoulders. So budget for that, budget for the water heater, budget for a roof, budget for new windows you want. Oh, the flooring is shut in this house. Let's budget for it. So budget is not such a bad deal. You just want to make sure that you have that. Let's see. Passive income opportunities, rental income, profit shares, coaching, training, consulting, affiliate income. There's a lot of different ways you can do affiliate income. Nobody really thinks about it. So let's see, like your database system, they may have a link that says I'm an affiliate. And then when you refer that over, you get a commission off of that based off of the people that purchased your database system, type of a thing that you gave them a link to. Property management, referral-based income streams. These are just options, you guys, to take a look at all of that. So those are things you want to go ahead and take a peek at. So definitely keep an eye out for all the opportunities for passive income and discuss this again with your accountant. Let's see. Financial scoreboard. So basically, you guys, track your GCI, but don't stop there. You want to track your expenses. You want to track your profit, your taxes, all of that. How much you pay out versus what's coming in. Track your cost per lead, cost per close it, so you know what your marketing is going to look like. And then savings rate, net worth, personal wealth. Those are going to help you once you know your expenses, your return on investments, your conversion ratios. Once you have those figured out, then you're going to go down here to the bottom and you're going to say, okay, this is what I have. This is what my wealth looks like, and this is how I can achieve those goals that I wanted to when I set those. It's going to help you see the overall picture, not just now, but 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, 10 years down the road, and help you almost with that exit strategy, what you want that to look like. So pretty good deal to kind of just set all this up. And if you guys need help with this, honestly, I coach on this. This is what I love to do. So please, please, please reach out. We can set something up so we can kind of get you guys set up with coaching and walk you through this so you can get set and not stress out about anything when you have a changing market. Review monthly, adjust as you need to, plan annually. I always look at my numbers. That is a have to. Okay, net worth exercise. Know what your assets are, your cash, how much you have set aside, what's in your retirement account, your business accounts, any real estate equity that you have, any passive income you have. What does that look like? What are your liabilities, your credit cards, your cars, your expenses out, student loans, mortgages, etc. And then subtract excuse me, assets from liabilities. What's your net worth? What does that look like? What is your profit? Um, it will be uncomfortable at first. I remember when I started, I was like, oh, I'm in the hole. But again, it was a starting point for me, and it was great because then I could go, I needed to adjust here, move here. And then when I really started to go over my numbers and budget, it worked out really well. It can be a little tricky, but I think the biggest thing with this is consistency. More consistent and dedicated you are to doing this, the more you're going to hit your numbers, the more you're going to understand what all this means, and the more you're going to see the bigger picture for you as an entrepreneur. So please, 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 if you need help with any of this, reach out. Like I said, I love this. This is something that I do all the time, and I'm so happy to do this with you. Let's see. Ta-ta. So here's just a quick wealth example for you to take a look at. The action plan I'm going to have you do, review statements, cancel any of your waste, make sure that that's all taken care of. Again, budget, return on investments, any of that. Take a look at that. 30 days, 90 days, 12 months. I want you to take a look at all of these. Choose one business goal, one personal finance goal, and one wealth building goal. You guys, this is something that is huge, and you need to put a date on it. Don't just go, that sounds great. In about 3 months, I'll do it. Put a date on it. Get really specific with it. The more specific you are, the more that you have a date on it. Your brain, it's called a reticulating activated in your brain. It's called a RAS, and it will automatically start looking for things because you've put your goals down, you put dates on it, and your brain goes, "Oh, I need to have this done by X, Y, and Z." And so I need to start looking for things. And it's amazing what it does. So take this and build these action plans, put dates on it, make them attainable, you guys. Don't say, I want to own the entire state building in 2 months. Okay, but be reasonable with these goals. But make sure that they're attainable, put a time on them, and then put those in your planning business so that you can actually reach them and your brain will take off with it. Let's see. So, again, resources to recommend, simple monthly business budget template, net worth tracker, commission allocation, mileage receipt tracking app, CPA, bookkeeper, financial advisor. These are a list of things you're going to need if you're any business owner, not just real estate, any business owner. You're going to need this. So, take a picture of this screen and go ahead and get it out and ready for you because these are just the basics that you're going to need. And again, like I said, I'm a finance coach. I'm a business coach. It doesn't have to be just real estate. It can be I've done some work plumbing, contractors. I've done real estate teams, obviously, did lenders, somebody who is starting up a screen printing business, banking business, their own finance advising business. I've done restaurant owners. So anything that I can help with as far as growing your business, helping you get set up with some of these budgets, and putting you on a plan to get you to where you need to go, call me. reach out. I am absolutely 100% here to help. So, my number, I think I have it up here. Maybe, maybe not. I probably didn't put it on here. I did not. It's 541-646-2295 is my phone number, and I will go ahead and make sure that that is on the marketing thing as well. So thank you so much again for joining. This was awesome. I love sharing this with everybody, but definitely keep me in your thoughts because am happy to help you grow your business. It's always exciting for me to watch people um, grow, grab all of these ideas, enhance their business, and take off and grow. So see you on the flip side.